from the Joy News Center. This is News at 8.
Hello and a warm welcome to the Primetime Bulletin here on Joy News on Multi TV and also on ABN TV across Europe. My name is Gifty Andorfia. Ahead in our bulletin tonight, presidential aspirants of the opposition New Patriotic Party wrap up their campaigns ahead of Saturday's poll to elect a flag bearer for the 2016 elections. Meanwhile, the police say they will deploy over 2,000 personnel to manage security on the day. As we commemorate World Food Day today, we bring you a special report on how smallholder farmers are helping feed the nation. In Ghana subjects its report on the elimination of violence against women and girls to local scrutiny ahead of a final presentation to the UN later this year. And the tallow oil is considering an extension of its permits to flare gas after it expires at the end of October due to the late commissioning of the Ghana Gas project. We have all these plus sports showbiz coming up if you stay with us. Well, today marks the final day of campaigning for flag bearer hopefuls of the New Patriotic Party in the upcoming elections this Saturday. The party is going to the polls to elect a flag bearer for the 2016 general elections here in Ghana. Well, all three aspirants have been winding up their campaigns in a way that will galvanize support for Saturday's event, while Mampong MP Francis Adainemo has had a rather low-key campaign on the day. The two leading candidates of the race, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Alan Kwejo-Kyerematen, have been holding rallies in the Greater Accra and Ashanti regions, respectively. Here at La Paz in Accra, two-time flag bearer of the party, Nana Akufo-Addo, has been urging supporters to vote massively for him in order to secure victory for the party come 2016. Well, he added that the party was going to ensure that the electoral malpractices that occurred in the 2012 general elections does not happen next time round.
The 29th of July, Wakwe House, and then the year. Samimenda Ebe, Mukami, Namufedi, Namutuabano Mame, Namabe. May I say, I was saying, the body base, and yes, I am Italian. Nadeba Kwamebaka. Sir, I buy about 2016. No, then to San Francisco. There be Tokyo woman in no. Supreme Court, you call you who they are. You are Baby singing in no back. 27. I Baby done it 27-0. And no AC Bio in the history of our country. We're not going to have that again. We're going to have a fair and clean election. Now, Mr. Basanswa. A banasasi a 12 finchim, near beer, ye die a hosono. Mr. Quambiasono. Ya 12 near Boboswa. New electoral commissioner obey. Where is where you or court? Now, for front of the battle. A Quambiason, ye Deviaka. Defina Noabano. The NPP presidential candidate, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has won the presidential contest of 2016 and is now ready to form a government to move our country forward.
Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo there was still on the NPP and its election on Saturday. The police say they are battle ready and have dedicated more than 2,000 persons who will be implementing a three-tier strategy to ensure an event-free process across the country. DSP Cephas Arthur is in charge of public relations at the Ghana Police, and he has been speaking to Joy News.
As at now, a lot of measures have been put in place. Very comprehensive security measures have been put in place to provide security and maintain law and order during the election. I can say that we have put in place a 3-tier security arrangement comprising personnel to be posted or deployed to the polling stations, who are the first point of contact as far as the security is concerned at the polling station. And then after that, we have a second ring or second tier, which is the patrol teams. The patrol teams will be patrolling the constituencies. We are made to understand that one polling station for one constituency. So we'll have patrol teams also patrolling the constituency so that they can provide a backup support to the men who are deployed at the various polling stations in case the need arises. Then after that ring, we have the final ring being the standby team. They will be standing by to respond in case of any emergency. About 2,000, but I can assure you that we are more than 2,000.
So about 2,000 people have been deployed?
More than 2,000 people have been deployed.
More than 2,000?
Yes, not about. More than 2,000 people have been deployed. If you come there on Saturday and decide to take the laws into your own hands and start attacking people, assaulting people, and doing acts that are clearly criminal, the police will not even wait for anybody, because then it falls within our domain. So we'll go into action and make arrests and prosecute.
Well, then the NPP will be voting across 276 polling centers in the country this Saturday, October 18th, as they elect their new flag bearer. Now, ahead of that, we have been seeking the views of some Ghanaians on why the euphoria surrounding the election seems to be relatively lower than many have expected. While some people, Joy News spoke to blame it on the economy and the fact that some of the flag bearer aspirants are low on cash, others think the disunity in the party is the reason.
I think it could be due to the fight here and there in the party, and then publicity is low. You know, people don't know what's really going on, and so I think it could be due to all this.
I think that people are getting a bit fed up with the political issues because of the consistent disappointment from leaders and all that. So this time around, they are not all that actively in support, because over the previous years, what they expected government to do for them, they didn't do it. So gradually, they are losing interest in political leaders. That's how I see it.
I think the wranglings in MPP is not helping. I'm not too much of a political person, but I don't like this whole idea of people fighting in-house. That's number one. And when you fight in-house, what happens is that the few of us who are out there looking for an alternative, you understand? Then we are like, it seems there's any answer mean to me, and let me go back to wherever I'm coming from. So I think the wranglings is one. Number two, the economy. People are too busy trying to find bread, you know, for their families. So it's not a very easy thing. So that could be one of the reasons why these things are happening.
I think people are tired of these people coming here and there. They are not winning, and they are always contesting. So I wish that maybe they sit down and then new people come in to contest. That is all. Because most people are tired. They are tired of hearing Annan. They are tired of hearing Chair Martin today here, and then they are fighting here and there. I think so. So I think that the best is the two of them sit, and then they ask some people to do the contest. That would be the best.
Well, all that I can say is about the system being too low in financial aspects, because I can say that there is no money in the system. That is why you are not seeing the colors flowing all over in town. But in fact, we are all aware that something like that is going on, but because of the financial aspects, you know, Ghana, we are financially broke for now. So it is hardly to see the colors of the political parties running all around like that. So That is why we are not seeing the flavor, but people are aware of it.
So definitely, I think it's because of the misunderstanding. That is why, things are moving in the other way around. But I think, they being coming back together is going to help we realize that they are back again on stage, to be honest. Yeah.
Everybody is serious with his or his business. We've come to an age where we do not go much into the politics anymore. You got to know that the leaders, they are all one. When they come into the system, they are all one. So we are not much into the politics anymore. For me per se, not much into the politics anymore. That's all I can say.
Okay, I think people have lost interest in the politicians, so there's no point following them around, because when they come, all they do is their own interests and they forget about the country. So people don't really care about it anymore. They also want to do something for themselves rather than following all these people, because at the end of the day, when they come, they think about themselves and not the nation as a whole.
Well, away from the politics, Accra is not known to be a farming community, but in reality, the city can actually boast of many small acre farms on which vegetables, maize and cassava are grown. On World Food Day, Joy News's Adelaide Arthur explores how urban farming in the capital is contributing to Ghana's food security and improving livelihoods.
Small-scale farming is increasingly being acknowledged as a significant contributor to ending hunger and poverty. And so this year's World Food Day celebration is focusing on how family farming can help feed the world while sustaining the earth. Farming in Ghana is typically concentrated in rural communities with vast swathes of land and not so much in the cities, which are mainly overtaken by settlements with little or no land to spare as farmlands. It is, however, interesting to note that some have found land here in Accra large enough for small acre farms. Driving on the Accra-Tema motorway, you will not miss the many small farms dotted along the 19-kilometer stretch. These farms produce maize, tomatoes, cabbages, green pepper, and several other vegetables. But what exactly is the contribution of these small farms to Ghana's food security? That is what I'm here to find out. This 1.5 acre farm belongs to Salifu Seidu, who hails from Boko in the Upper East region. He has been growing cucumber, green pepper, onions, and cabbages on rotation for the past 7 years. Most of his produce end up at the Agbogbloshi market in Accra. He explains cabbages are sold to market women for between 80 and 100 cedis per bag. The prices can, however, soar to about 700 cedis when demand is high. Salifu explains a sack of green pepper could also go for between 120 and 200 cedis.
It's not too much, you know. One bag, 10 bag and 7 bag. But it's short to a habana goodia, flowers on about sat of want to be a big cabbage, about mat for bell. But about much bell.
Mohammed Bukari is also preparing his 1 acre land to plant cauliflower and cabbages after recently harvesting onions, which did not do so well.
1 acre, I feed my mama boka, and ye, 14 bars. Yariana mama said, go like women to me 220 bars.
He is expecting to harvest his cabbages 2 months after planting. My tour took me to this 1.5 acre farm on which cauliflower is growing nicely.
We are about 2,000 pieces also. We do sweet pepper, any cucumber. We do genius also. Yes, seed in I guess I got on Greek. Cauliflower say 201 Ghana cedi. And sweet pepper on 130 Ghana cedi.
On the right side of the Accra-bound lane, these women and children are harvesting onions. This is probably the largest farm along the stretch, where a group of farmers rotate vegetables on more than 20 acres. For the past 4 weekends, this farm has been supplying onions to market women.
Acres the best more than 15 acres, but acre it may be 40 and 50 bags. Ya fa boys na no mo ye jimete wi a na ya ma obi a sika. Market na bi wa omotimi to bi 3 million. We are to me do time be no matter 4 million. To me do time be 2 million. The market nenda for akon.
The farmers are, however, concerned about a pest which has persistently been attacking their onions. Fortunately, they've not been left to their fate, as they also enjoy the services of extension officers, an indication the authorities take them seriously.
We did a demonstration recently on these trips. We used natural oil and desvan, which is a chemical to control the trips. They are sucking incense. They suck whatever the juice or whatever is. So they render the onion useless.
The farmers have been cultivating these lands for years, some for more than 2 decades. Interestingly, though, they do not own the land. They've not had to pay for tilling the land. They understand the land belongs to government and may be asked to vacate when it becomes necessary. They, however, wish government will support them in securing loans and idle lands elsewhere so they can expand production. The cabbages, green pepper, onions, tomatoes that you find at the Agbogloshi market, Tama Community 1 market or the Medina market probably came from these farms. Little by little, smallholder farmers here are playing a crucial role in eradicating hunger and poverty in Ghana. Undoubtedly, their contribution towards Ghana's food security cannot be underestimated. From the Accra Tama Motorway Farms, Adelaide Arthur for Joy News.
And well, as the world commemorates World Food Day, former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan is reminding the world that, quote, a hungry man is not a free man. Writing a message to commemorate the day on his Facebook page, the former UN boss said eradication of hunger is not just an end in itself, but rather a key step towards a fairer, more secure world. For a hungry man is not a free man. His statement reflects this year's theme, which focuses on how families feed the world through farming while caring for the earth at the same time. The theme is to raise the profile of family farming and smallholder farming, as well as draw the world's attention to the significant role of family farming in eradicating hunger, providing food and nutritional security as well, and improving livelihoods, as well as protecting the environment, especially in rural areas. So we're still talking food security. What is Ghana's status as far as food security is concerned? Joining us on the line with some answers is the Deputy Minister of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Ahmed Yakub Al-Hassan. Good evening to you, sir, and thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Now, quickly, from where you sit, would you say that Ghana is producing enough food?
Well, yes, to a large extent, we are a relatively food secure country. Particularly when it comes to the carbohydrate end of our food needs. There's no doubt about it.
That sends me to my second question, which is the tubers and grains, if we're talking about them. Which one would you say we're doing very well in?
Come again.
Tubers and grains, which one would we say is we have a competitive advantage in producing?
For most of the grains and the tubers, those ones that contribute to our food security.
All right.
I think the only grain that we are now making some progress on, but not yet totally food secure in, is rice.
Right.
But for maize, which is one of the major contributors, we're doing relatively well. We have enough maize to feed our country and our livestock to some extent.
To some extent.
The tubers and cassava, we are fine.
I see. All right, then, but let me find out from you, sir. The ministry in April said that Ghana would achieve self-sufficiency in rice production by 2018. That's a target that we set for ourselves. And this is in order to cut back on rice imports. Now, would you say that we are on course on this plan?
Yeah, we're very much on course, because when you study the progress that we have been making since 2008 in the rice front, I think that we can say we are making a lot of progress, and that's why we can have the confidence to believe that we can meet our demand for rice through only local production. Because after 2008, we're just around local production could really meet only 30% of our consumption demand. Today we are around 60% in climate. The peculiarity of rice is that the per capita consumption has not yet stabilized, and so it makes the targeting a little bit complicated. But nonetheless, I do believe that based on the mobility of the per capita consumption, it's still possible for us to meet our consumption demand by 2018 as targeted.
But one of the concerns that consumers have raised is the fact that the quality levels in the locally produced rice seem to fall far lower on the radar. How are we addressing that?
In fact, I would rather state emphatically that the quality of local rice, the exact opposite is the correct picture. The quality of the local rice that is produced in Ghana is of better quality than what we import. Most of the rice imported into this country are held in warehouses and conveyor belts for longer periods of time, and it's only when they are trying to put into their buffer stocks fresh harvest that they release those ones for sale to us in the country. Secondly, it is also highly polished, which makes it just chalky, starchy food that have no real ingredients that come along. And it's also not as fresh as the local produced rice. So let us say that, and the complaint about having stones and other blemishes in our local rice are things of the past now, because there is not a single rice mill in this country that is not modern, that has a destoner attached to them, and therefore eliminate all the possibilities of having stones in them. Right. The only ones that are of less quality are the locally processed rice, and the ministry and its collaborators are doing the best they can to even introduce higher quality processing of our rice, so that people don't have challenges when they are consuming such rice. So let me say that it's the exact opposite, and we must have confidence in our local produced rice.
Finally, before I let you go, sir, 2014 World Food Day is focusing on how the family farming can eradicate hunger and poverty. Now, what support is your ministry offering smallholder farmers, for instance, in the country, so that they can make such a significant impact?
Indeed, the policy focus in terms of mobilization of resources and input for production in this country is still focusing on the smallholder, who are basically the family farms that we have, family farming enterprises that we have around. And they are usually holding, their land holdings are usually 2 hectares or even less in many instances. So the smallholder is still the focus of most of the agricultural programs and policy direction to support. So you find that nearly 100% of all support systems from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, whether it is about infrastructure building, whether it is mechanization, whether it is support in input delivery and subsidy systems, are all targeting smallholders who are mostly family farms.
All right, we will definitely follow up on that. Thank you very much. I've been speaking with the Deputy Minister of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Ahmed Yakubu Al-Hassan, giving us some insights there. Well, meanwhile, while we're still dealing with food security, Indian-born Dr. Sanjaya Rajaram is to receive the 2014 World Food Prize Award in Iowa, United States of America, Thursday night. The eminent plant scientist is being honored for his scientific research that led to an increase in world wheat production by more than 200 million tons. The World Food Prize says his breakthrough breeding technologies have had a far-reaching and significant impact in providing more nutritious food around the globe and alleviating world hunger. Last year, Dr. Mark Van Montegu, Mary Del Shilton, and Dr. Robert Farley jointly received the prestigious award for their individual breakthrough achievement in founding, developing, and applying modern agricultural biotechnology. Their research is credited for making it possible for farmers to grow crops with improved yields, resistance to insects and disease, as well as the ability to tolerate extreme variations in climate change. Other past recipients of the award are Ghana's former President John Agyekum Kufuor, who jointly won the award with former Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva in 2011 for their personal commitment and visionary leadership during their terms in office by creating and implementing government policies to alleviate hunger and poverty. Well, so on that World Food Day note, we'll take a quick breather. When we return, there's more news. Please stay. Now let's go to the regions now. There are doubts hanging over the actual position of the Central Region as far as its poverty status is concerned. Participants at a microfinance lecture at the University of Cape Coast raised red flags after recent economic indicators from the Ghana Statistical Service changed the region's poverty outlook. The region hitherto was considered the fourth poorest in the country. It is now rated the third best. But the participants are not convinced about the new rating, which they say does not reflect the reality on the ground, as majority of the people in the region still live in abject poverty. Georgina Pia filed this report.
In an interview with Joy News, the coordinator of the UCC Microfinance Unit, Dr. James Pepra, called for a second look at the way surveys are conducted, indicating they must be in line with the day-to-day activities of people.
The region has poverty, but when it comes to the ground, individual household, you don't see that. Maybe one can say that that's just a global picture. It doesn't really reflect what the households are enjoying. It doesn't really reflect the pockets of people. It doesn't really reflect what people are consuming. So maybe we need to rethink, take a second look at how we conduct such surveys, how we present data, so that it could be a true reflection of what is happening at the household level.
Organized by the Microfinance Unit of the Department of Economics at the University of Cape Coast, the lecture sought to deepen people's understanding on how microfinance is contributing to the poverty reduction. The participants, mostly lecturers, were drawn from some public universities and microfinance institutions in the country. Speaker after speaker touched on the need for special attention to be given to the microfinance sector, as many innocent people continue to fall victim to fraudulent operations. Though they recounted the sector has helped improve the lives of many, others still believe education on microfinance is limited, thus leading to many Ghanaians being duped in the name of microfinance. The sector, which employs not less than 200,000 people with over 8 million clients, according to the Ministry of Finance, is said to be rather worsening the situation of the poor. The moderator of the lecture and a lecturer at the UCC, Dr. Ekuma, called for continuous education on the operation of microfinance firms to enable people make informed choices. A representative from the Finance Ministry, Jeffrey Gaga, commended the UCC for developing students who would feed the microfinance industry by adding a touch of professionalism to their work, unlike those with no professional background. Georgina Apia's report for Joy News.
A number of Ghanaians are literally sitting on thorns following news that the country could record its first case of the deadly Ebola virus by the end of October. Ghana has recorded over 50 suspected cases of the disease, but all turned out to be negative. The Ebola disease is spread through contact with an infected person's body fluid, with many Ghanaians using public transport, also known as trotro, on a daily basis. The need to be conscious of body contact seems to be a priority, as Joy News' Dorcas Ankoma reports.
I'm in a trotro from Circle to Dansoman now, and I must say it's really uncomfortable as I can't avoid physical contact with my fellow passengers here. Today we want to discuss with the passengers on this vehicle what they think can be done to help avoid Ebola, the spread of Ebola in trotro. Should we record any case in Ghana?
I just say maybe our government now. Ebi obe tumi aye bibi afa ho se ebi a ye say yetete so If the way I see passengers, no, as a government and a canal like it so said a bit to me a boy. And this idea, you know,
But the Basset of us over Walker. It's the government called why we scan of Antonio to my and share. Now, it's to one we share Lunku to not Utimu, not a bomb by. Did not me call down so many 3 city, me call and good to Kumiscan and so many day. Ah, Master. Master, can I be doing as I know, Master? Amuya is our boy home by 5 Bola home.
I need a Sikasem. Petrol no driver for no motor. Send a nipa 5 for lines. You bet me at space nipa miensa and young and can. But then Sikasem no sabine boa, not say or reduce the petrol price. At least the driver for no somebody say.
Me free time and a meba. Okwa klagon, a coining here. Okasi nipa 5 and na bus swim because of Ebola. Send you be home combia. Oya denya onam klagon loader. Obi account because of the way na equino etino.
Someone can say you have to sit 1 meter away from the person behind him. So how do you rise of the torture? I don't mean because advanced country no more or more trains more to get that 1 meter distance. No, Yahano is a poor country. You're not to that level.
But the moment my gross marché. The BBI schedule Moses Kamamu and we are my home sound now. Passengers in there. And make us say, maybe no one can.
Checking our Ebola preparedness. Well, the Omahene of the Edina traditional area, Nana Kojo Kondria, has asked government to strengthen the communal labor law in the country as it steps up measures to prevent the spread of cholera and Ebola. His comments come at a time when the local government's ministry is considering a national sanitation day to rekindle the spirit of communal labor. He also asked government to empower chiefs to ensure development in their catchment areas. Here's another report by Georgina Apia.
Nana Kondria was speaking at this year's Edina Bronya, a festival celebrated by the chiefs and people of Edina. The festival, a novel Christmas introduced to the people of Elmina during the Dutch colonial era, attracted citizens from both home and abroad. It coincides with the Dutch festival, which falls on the first Thursday of January each year, which is marked in Elmina to signify the bond of friendship between the Dutch and the people of Elmina. Nana Kondria touched on the need for the people to eschew acts that divide them, but rather unite for the development of the area. The founder of the Progressive People's Party and a native of Elmina, Dr. Papakwesi Ndum, recounted an embarrassing episode when friends from abroad visited the area. He reiterated the call for unity in the area and hoped the people would work together towards achieving that. Georgina Appiah's report for Joy News.
Gender, Children and Social Protection Minister Nana Oyeleta has reiterated government's position to develop a gender policy and an affirmative action bill to safeguard and protect the interests of women and children in the country. At a mock session to discuss Ghana's CEDAW country's report, which will be presented at the United Nations later this year, the gender minister indicated that adolescent girls in SHS and students from low-income families will receive scholarship packages to help further their education.
The Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW report, was adopted by the United Nations as an indicator for member states to outline how they are tackling the issue of women and children's rights in their respective countries. Gender Minister Nana Oyeleta at a mock session noted that the country had made several inroads in tackling the worst forms of violence against women and children in the country. Some of the interventions she outlined included the criminalization of female genital mutilation and the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program.
We acknowledge the fact that we have limited health care facilities for psychiatric care. What the government of Ghana has done is to integrate mental health care in the general healthcare. So in some of our healthcare facilities, the principal and tertiary healthcare facilities, we have some limited provision of mental health services.
Nano Yelitha also answered questions from panel members on government intervention so far to tackle the witch camp menace in northern Ghana.
We are running, together with governmental and non-governmental institutions, awareness creation, because these are age-old traditions and cultural practices that we would need to sustain interventions and be strategic about targeting interventions which will result in attitude change and which would result in abolition of certain century-old traditions. This has globally proved to be very difficult, and it is no different in Ghana.
Ghana acceded to the CEDAW Convention in 1986. In June 2012, Ghana, through the then Ministry of Women and Children Affairs, as required by UN member states, submitted the 6th and 7th Combined CEDAW Country Report to the UN CEDAW Committee.
You're still watching the Primetime Bulletin here on Joy News on Multi TV and also on ABN TV across Europe. George Adu Jr. is standing by to bring you some sports news. Please stay.
Today in business, we take you through some oil updates, and as always, I'm Abigail Adomakoinchi. Now, Tullow Oil Ghana says it may have to extend the flaring of gas after its permit expires by close of the month due to the delay in the commissioning of the Ghana Gas project. The oil company, which has already flared about 1,700 million standard cubic feet of gas, says it will comply with the environmental charge by the regulators, contrary to reports indicating their denial for payment.
We did get an approval from the EPA to do some limited flaring, which we're doing to the end of this month. We're expecting that, working with the government and the agencies, post the end of the month, if we're all through with the gas export, then it's over. Otherwise, we will seek an extension for that. We continue to be committed with our colleagues, the Jubilee partnership, to make sure that we work as quickly as possible to make gas export onshore as feasible as quickly as possible.
Officials of Tullow Oil took their turn at the Ghana Stock Exchange's facts behind the figures and revealed the company was on track in producing an average of 103,000 barrels per day, beyond the daily target of 100,000 barrels. Tullow Oil Ghana, with the inception of the local content LI, has increased its local content to about 30%.
There's a fairly significant amount of local content, and from a numeric perspective, I think on a year-to-year basis, roughly 30 to 50% of our operating cost expenditure is local content driven by companies that are registered in Ghana as purely Ghanaian companies, as well as companies that have Ghanaian participation, internationally registered companies in Ghana. And I think the last number we have is roughly something around $500 million for last year. And then from a jobs perspective, we created 1,500 jobs through our subsidy level, through our service provider companies.
Although Tullow Oil PLC is doing well in exploration, officials admitted a non-performing share price currently at 36 cedis per share.
There's a number of reasons for our recent share price performance. I think there is volatility within oil prices. Globally, currently, there is a sentiment around risk in the market. That means that oil companies in particular have underperformed. I am reluctant to comment about our own contribution to that, but clearly there are concerns from investors around oil companies generally. They're looking at our exploration performance and our exposure to major developments in East Africa, and are looking forward to news from those areas. So I think that there are a number of Tullow reasons that we have to focus on our strategy and deliver on that strategy, and there are also non-Tullow reasons as well, particularly around risk within capital markets.
He adds that the group's performance has also been affected by global events including Ebola. Contrary to reports that the Kwame Nkrumah FPSO was not durable, the team says it embarks on annual integrity surveys on the FPSOs and has learned lessons for building new FPSOs, particularly for the 10 failed. And we'll do an update on the 10 fields. Well, Tally Oil Ghana says the 10 fields will be 50% complete by the end of the year. The company, having spent about 1.1 billion cedis this year, says it has already dug 8 wells out of the expected 10 wells, and the remaining 2 will be drilled early next year. The government of Ghana in May 2013 formally approved the 10 project, paving way for Tullow and its partners to proceed with the exploration expected to bring on stream 80,000 barrels of oil per day. Tullow Ghana says the project is on target to deliver its first oil in mid-2016 in expectation that it will be 50% complete by end of the year.
At first oil, we expect to get 10 wells online to contribute to around about 80,000 barrels a day of oil production. To date, we have drilled 8 wells, and we will drill the final 2 wells in early 2015. And then over the course of 2015 and 16, we'll do something we call complete those wells, put wellheads on them, and then connect up through to the subsea infrastructure, which will then go into the new 10 FPSO, which will be arriving in country in the first quarter of 2016.
A supertanker undergoing conversion to an FPSO for the 10 fields at the Jurong shipyard in Singapore, according to Tullow Oil, is far advanced.
The project is so large, it takes the world to build the FPSO. We have fabrication occurring in Switzerland, Korea, United States, France, Singapore, Thailand, South Africa, and of course Ghana. Because no one country or no one contractor can construct something as complicated as the FPSO. So all of those components, the pieces from Ghana, the stools from Ghana, are all being assembled in Singapore, and the FPSO will arrive in Ghana for the rest of the construction to occur starting in 2016.
Tullow Oil Ghana, meanwhile, says it has spent $1 billion on the 10 projects this year and hopes to spend $1.5 billion next year, and hence it will spend a total of $4 billion on the project. Abigail Adumakwinchi for Joy News. So for tech-savvy people listening to this, Apple has announced a new version of its tablet, the iPad Air 2, which it says is the